It is 6:30, and we will now begin the March 8th, 2012 public hearing. The order of business tonight, we have ordinance 2012-03, and ordinance to amend the 2011-2012 fiscal year general fund budget and capital plan for parks and recreation mowers. I'll give you a little more history on this, what we're actually doing. There was $10,000 that was originally put into the capital plan for this year to purchase vehicles. We do have a new Parks and Rec director. He came in, he does not feel that he needs the vehicle. He wants to transfer those funds to the purchase of a new mower. Also, with the balance coming from the sale of surplus equipment that he does not deem necessary at the Parks and Recreation Department. So that is what the change to this ordinance. Anytime we make a change to our funds, we have to do an ordinance change. At this time, I will open up the floor for anyone that would like to step up to the podium and say anything regarding this ordinance. Anyone that would like to step up, ask questions, make comments, please, the floor is yours. I'm discussing right now ordinance 2012-03 in regards to the Parks and Recreation Capital Plan. I don't see anyone coming forward, so I will move on to the next order of business. This is an application for a certificate of compliance for an off-premises consumption retail liquor store for the Laverne Beverage Depot located at 5033B Murfreesboro Road. Now, to my understanding, I do believe this is under new ownership. It is the same liquor store that is right down here, right across from the KFC. It is under new ownership, and they are requesting a certificate of compliance for an off-premises to be able to sell the liquor in this store. At this time, I will open up the floor for anyone that has any questions or wishes to express an opinion regarding this certificate of compliance. Any questions? Please feel free to step up. If you have any, please step up. Let's get this, get them cleared up if you have any. Seeing no one coming forward on either of these items, I will now declare the public hearing closed, and we will begin citizens' comments at 6:45. So we will begin that sharply at 6:45. It's 6:45, and we will now begin with our citizens forum for March 8, 2012. First on our list, Ms. Tracy Hart.
Hello. I'm here tonight to talk about the yard maintenance ornaments that's fixing to take place, that you're fixing to read on. First of all, I commend you for stepping up to try to clean up Laverne. Thank you. But my question is, my lot runs side to side. I don't have a backyard. I got a garage, a two-car driveway. My boat, my husband's boat, is on the side of my house under an awning, because it's his precious little boat. But where does that leave me? Where does that leave the boat? Does it need to be on a piece of concrete? Does it need to be on gravel?
Motorized vehicles with license tags.
What I read was boats cannot be in the front yard.
That's not, because I talked with Derek today, and the way that you can have the boats on the side. Am I correct, Derek?
Typically, they're supposed to be in the rear yard. If the boat's in the front yard or the driveway,
Okay.
No, sir, I do not have it on the front.
But if she already has a shed and an awning,
do you live on a corner lot?
No, I do not. I've got pictures. I took pictures of my yard and my house today. I also
Oh, I
have
know where
swing
you are.
sets. Okay, I also have swing sets. I don't even have enough yard in the back for my kids to sit on the swing set and swing out. I don't have a backyard.
yeah, I've been over at your house, yeah.
So everything I've got is on this side or this side. So I'm wanting to know whether I'm gonna have to come up with a concrete slab or some gravel or something in order to keep you where you're at.
And I'm under the impression, I thought the boats, anything that was not, that you drive, that was the impression that I was under.
That's not the way I read it.
Okay.
Now, I could be wrong, but that's not the way I read it.
Well, that's everybody's interpretation.
Exactly.
I could have been wrong. So, it's how you interpret. Because I know a lot of people with boats.
I know a lot of people that don't have a backyard.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Exactly. Good questions. So that's.
No, technically, the boat would have to be on a slab or some ground. Because the wording in the ordinance is the rear yard. If it's in the rear yard, it doesn't have to be on
Okay.
a recreational vehicle, it does not have to be on gravel, concrete, or another surface.
Okay. Because that's not how I understood it. Okay, that's a good question. Very
So
good
I'm gonna have
question.
to come up with money for concrete slab or gravel, correct? Or I'm gonna be in violation.
Well, it's still under.
And I
It's
am,
still under negotiation.
and I am up
This
here
hasn't been voted
applauding you
on.
for everything.
I know.
Yet I'm gonna have to come up with the money.
Well, it hasn't been voted on, so it has not been voted. This is still, that's why we're having, the citizens'
Right,
comments and
right.
stuff.
Okay.
But good points, very good points.
All right, thank you, dear.
Thank you. Next, we have Carolyn Hickerson.
I really get this ordinance. I understand why, because, I have neighbors, 2 homes next to me that are tenants that pile up the cars in their yard instead of their driveway so their kids can play ball in the driveway. And it ruts up the yards. But I also think that this ordinance needs to be written in a way that it's not so heavy-handed, that you take into consideration holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving, graduation parties, personal parties. You know, our community has a garage sale once a year. The whole community has a garage sale. You live in that community. And, you know, it just needs to not be so heavy-handed in that way, but at the same time, respect personal properties. My community is not a homeowners association. And so I value that I live in a community where I have free choice as a citizen, but at the same time, respect my neighbors. And the tenant homes really should be addressed by the people that own that home, that they should address the tenant issues with their tenants parking in the yard. I'm not really sure it's government's job to tell a private property owner that doesn't in a homeowners association what they can and can't do with their property. I kind of moved to that neighborhood for that very reason and chose to have a home not in a homeowners association because of personal property rights for myself. Now, that may not be for everybody, but I just think that you just need to not be heavy-handed when you write this ordinance or vote on this ordinance, that you take into account, you know, the occasional graduation party, you know, wedding, whatever the case may be, that, you know, we can't park on the road, so you're going to have to pile cars in the yard. But I get the habitual issue. I get that a lot because our neighborhood has a lot of cars that park in the street, impede the roadway, you know, you can attest to that, and are always parked in the yard instead of their driveway. And I get that. And I think that you could really just address those issues without having to write a citation, you know, and impose a fine. It's just a matter of knocking on their door and saying, you know what, by the way, you know, the city of Laverne really would like you to consider, you know, I don't know. I don't really have the answers. I just think that it just doesn't need to be really, really heavy-handed, is my opinion. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Tori Venerable, I'm sorry.
Hello, Mayor, Alderman. I'm here to speak on the same issue about the parking ordinance. I'm very against it. Mainly the reason we chose to buy our house in our neighborhood in Laverne was because it did not have a homeowners association. It is a property rights issue, and I understand that it is a blight seeing junk cars and inoperable vehicles in other people's yards. But, you know, you have to look at when you purchase that home, you realize when you're buying that home, you're purchasing a home either with or without a homeowners association. And that is something that should be regulated by a homeowners association, not government. I mean, what's next? Are we going to regulate the shade of green that my grass has to be? Where does this go? It's a slippery slope. And, you know, I feel like there are ordinances already in place with codes to address the inoperable vehicles and junk vehicles. And maybe if they were spending their time writing tickets to those people instead of writing this legislation, we wouldn't have such a big problem. Thank you for your time.
James Watson.
Mayor, Alderman, I commend you on your work that you're doing for our city. We're way behind on the issues. I've lived in this town, we were born here, and this town has been known to the neighborhood as a lot of cars and inoperable vehicles. You will check, there are cities around our borders that already have these ordinances in places. I respect and understand the citizens that have children who drive cars and people who have small yards. I'm blessed with a large yard. I don't have this problem. But if I did, I would want to respect my neighbors. What my issue is enforcing all the codes that are on the books. There are 2 condemned properties that are on Cheney Boulevard right now between the old Nashville Highway and the high school that our children pass every day. They've been condemned ever since my children were in high school, and they're 40-year-old now. And those buildings need to be come down, because they're an eyesore to the community. They're dangerous to our children. The roof is already falling in on one and just fixing to fall in on the other. But I commend you on cleaning you. I respect the neighborhoods, and I understand the rights of all the citizens that are involved with this parking issue. But if it's not licensed, if it doesn't have wheels, I think it needs to go. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Nikki Venerable, am I saying that correctly? I apologize.
No, it's Venable.
Venable?
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay, you're not the first.
All right, first of all, thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. And I agree a lot with what the gentleman just said about the cars that have no wheels and are not registered. I think that there should definitely be something about those done, but as I understand that there is an ordinance already for those vehicles. And as she said earlier, we selected our home because we were not in a homeowners association area. And I believe that as long as the vehicles are not, you know, basically junk vehicles, that there shouldn't be a problem. I recently had an estimate to get our driveway widened, and for our driveway to be widened 10 feet, and for the length, it was going to be $3,200 for one lane from the end of where our current driveway is to the road. And you know, right now there's not a lot of people that have a lot of disposable income, and I think that giving them something else they have to pay for, such as gravel or a driveway, I think that we should really just work on enforcing the code that's already for the junk vehicles. I think that that will go a long way to solve what you all are trying to solve, because I do believe that the cars, you know, junk vehicles shouldn't be all over yards, and I've seen several in Laverne that, you know, they've been sitting there, you know, they were sitting there this Christmas, they were sitting there the Christmas before that, but I just think that there's already something that addresses those vehicles, because, you know, like I said, I can definitely see where you're coming from, because nobody likes junk cars all over the neighborhood, but I think we just start addressing the ones that are actual junk cars with the ordinance we already have, that we probably would find that we might not need this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Timothy Beecham?
I thank y'all for having me come up here to address this. My biggest theory is I think a homeowner should be able to, whatever they have, if they ain't got enough room, they should be able to park a car on the grass. But like the gentleman said, if they're junk cars, not licensed or ain't operable, I can understand you might want them out of the way. But some driveways are very small, and some of the garages you can barely even get a car in. Mine ain't that way, and I got all my cars are on concrete, but I think there's some of the neighbors that live in the neighborhood I live in, their yards are quite small and their driveways ain't really quite big enough, and a lot of times people don't always buy a house for planning for the kids' cars and everything else, and then when the kids start becoming of age needing to drive, that's an extra car you gotta try to park in your yard somewhere. And I know it's difficult on people, and times are hard, and gas prices are killing people. It's just that I think someone, as long as you keep your yard up to maintenance and everything's taken care of, and the cars are able to, if you wanted to go out there and start it up and drive out of the driveway right in there, I don't think there should be a big issue with it. I know I've had some people come and complain to other people and over on a couple of streets over from us, but most of all, to me, I think a homeowner should be able to do pretty much, as long as it's within reason, have what he needs to in his yard. That's about all. I just want to make sure, in case y'all want to ask me a couple of questions or anything.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Sarah Boner?
look like such a pig. I wasn't expecting to be here tonight. Sarah Boner, 237 Cheney Boulevard. I know the places that you talk about, and it's really a money issue. The city doesn't have the money to help, and the homeowner is kind of tied right now to its funds. I was called by a friend of mine to come down here tonight because they live in Lake Forest, and graduation is coming up, and they want to know, years ago, you used to be able to call the police department and say, hey, we're having a special event. Can you overlook all the cars in the parking in the street, you know? And they kind of look over it. But is that going to be a part of this ordinance? I don't know what the old one says, and I really don't know why it needs to be changed or what parts of it are going to be changed. I really agree with everybody, just everybody. Everybody's got a different view, and it should be worded properly. I live on a junkyard, so yeah, I know about junk. I don't have a backyard because of it. But these people, you spend thousands of dollars buying your new house, and you can't even move your car in the yard for a little while. I think maybe a part of the ordinance, if you have a broken down vehicle for more than 30 days out there, then go ahead and get them. I don't know. So, like I said, I don't know how it reads. I don't know what changes you're wanting to make. So, but I really appreciate everybody coming here, and I hope that you've listened. I know you have. Y'all have a good night.
All right. We will now close the citizens' comments. I want to thank everybody. There were some very good comments made, some good questions asked, and I do thank everyone for being here and for participating. I'm sorry, we have to sign up. Citizens Forum is now closed. It is 7:03. Let's get our... We do have a quorum. Tonight, you'll notice that Ms. Green is not with us tonight. She is quite under the weather, so if you please would remember her in your prayers, we very much would appreciate it. And tonight, we're going to be honored by having prayer by Chief Walker.
If you would, please bow with me as I pray my Christian prayer. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for watching over us and keeping us safe last Friday, for taking care and protecting Laverne. I ask you to take care of all of those folks that were harmed, who lost loved ones, who were injured, and who lost everything they owned as a result of the weather. Be with them and reach down and fill them with your love and your comfort and your peace, which only you can give. I ask you to be with Miss Sherry tonight. My selfish prayer, you understand. I ask you to heal her, if it be thy will. Watch over her and take care of her, because we do miss her. I ask you to take care of all of those in our community. Help us to realize those who need the help, whether it be food or clothing or shelter, that we're there for them as a community, because I've seen this community rise to the occasion so many times, and open our eyes and hearts and minds so that we know who those folks are and can take care of them. I ask you to be with the Board of Mayor and Aldermen tonight as they make the decisions. Give them the wisdom and the knowledge they need to make the right decisions for the right reasons. Lord, watch over us and care for us, and thank you for everything you've done for us, especially thy Son Jesus. And in his name I pray, amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving right along. I need a motion to approve or to deny minutes for the February 7th, 2012 regular meeting.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Department reports. We'll begin with fire.
Mayor, Alderman, Month of February 2012, we had a total of 73 calls, consisted of 1 structure fire, 14 fire alarms, 2 vehicle fires, 1 grass fire, 4 hazardous materials calls, 26 motor vehicle accident, 9 medical calls, 12 emergency miscellaneous calls, and 4 non-emergency miscellaneous calls. Average response time for the month of February 2011 was 2.9 minutes. Total water consumption for the month of February 2011 was 1,800 gallons. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Please.
Mayor, Alderman, good evening, and thank you for this wonderful weather you've given us. Here we go again. We hope it's not like it was last week. I have to tell you, first off, though, I saw something from the employees of the city of Laverne and also the community too last Friday. People pulled together. Laverne had the only open shelter in Rutherford County, and I'm surprised Ricky didn't cover that. Where'd he go? But there were 131 people that were there in the shelter and 4 canines. And they were there, they felt safe because there were people there watching over them. And people from throughout the city were together at the Emergency Operations Center and were prepared if anything did happen. And Richard Long had sent a PowerPoint a little earlier this week. It says it was 4 miles from us. When I was standing behind the PD and was there with a young lady who took one of the pictures that was posted, it didn't look like it was 4 miles. It looked like it was right there, coming right straight across the lake, and we watched it as it developed and moved. And it was an awesome sight. We know what it did west of us, and we know what it did northeast of us. And there were a lot of people that were in the cold and in the wet and don't have a place to live now. And lucky to be alive, really, because that's the same cell that passed right next to us that we all saw. The first page that you'll see is our authorized and filled positions. I started doing this a couple of months ago when I pulled together some info. And I just wanted to point out a couple of things that we did this month. We reclassified 2 positions in the police department to police officer positions. And you know I use the term boots on the street. And the reason we did that, we reclassified the assistant chief position and the CID lieutenant position to police officers so that we could have 2 more people that we could put on the street. We are in the process now of attempting to fill vacant positions. We're to the point now that we started out with 60-something applications. We went through the early background look and checks, and after that we invited over 40 to come and participate in the agility and the written test. We wound up, after all was said and done and we got through all the interviews, we have 14 that we're conducting extensive background checks on now. And then those who clear those background checks then will go for a physical and a psychological, and we'll pick the final group from those folks. Never stops. Rings all the time, doesn't it? We also reclassified a corporal position that was in CID to a detective position so that we can have another boots on the street there too. And then as a result of it, we have 7 vacancies of the 51 sworn positions and 1 vacancy of the civilian positions, which is actually a dispatcher, and we're working that register as well, or working those applications. The next page gives you an idea of the calendar year to date. January and February, you can see there's some pretty interesting things there. That first one indicates that the total calls for service this year have increased about 31.8%. Total offenses have decreased. Offenses reported to us, or crimes. Arrests have decreased along with that. Some arrests have increased considerably and some less than others. Traffic stops are down a little bit, 3.7. Total citations are down 9.7%. Burglaries reported to us was 65.1% decrease. Domestic assaults are up 4.2. Thefts are down 5.2%, and vandalism's down 23.9%. With our calls and activities, just some of the highlights there are the same thing. It just puts it in a bar chart so that you can look at it. One of the things I would like to draw your attention to are the alarms. One of the things we've been working on for the past couple of months, I found out that the police department probably for the last 4 years hadn't been going along and doing the things they should be doing concerning our alarm ordinance. And I've talked to our council about it briefly a couple of times, and we've been working on it within the department. And we should be bringing something hopefully to the workshop next month for your consideration. But the first 2 months of this year, we had 290 alarms. 218 of those were false alarms. We have one location in town that's an industrial location where we've had 22 false alarms, and that takes very valuable time and manpower to respond to those. So there's a provision there. After 3 false alarms in a calendar year, then there comes a surcharge for the response. Same thing's true with fire. The total offenses, as you can look at, have decreased. The assaults themselves on that next page have increased 37.5%, and those are the things that even proactive law enforcement doesn't have a whole lot to do with, because that's generally a one-on-one and it's not out in the public as much. Burglaries are down, as you see. Domestic assault has increased those 2 months over last year, 6.0%. Thefts are down again, 5.3%. Vandalism, 23.9%. Rape is down 16.7%. Harassment complaints are up 35.7%. And then where it says drugs, that's actually those cases that have been opened by our CID narcotics vice unit. So there's a 90.5% increase in that thus far this year over last year. The other tables, you can actually stop and look at the numbers and see what they are. There are several things that we're working on right now and trying to get a handle on. Some of those are some of the reporting requirements that we have, where we have error rates still. We're trying to see on a weekly basis with a weekly audit of the reports if it's something we're doing wrong or if it's actually our records management. And so far, everything we see is records management. We had one that showed up the other day that appeared to be an expungement, that the system itself had just plugged in on its own, because there does not appear at this time to be anyone that went in and did it. So there's still all kinds of issues there. Thank you all for your support, especially last week as we went through preparing for, and we thank the good Lord too for watching over us. Any questions? Thank you. One thing I would like to say is the police department doesn't enforce the codes things though.
Rescue.
Mayor, Alderman. We had 0 medical calls, 19 accidents, 0 water, 0 fire. We had 56 standbys. We had 2 business meetings, 3 training sessions, 8 public relation issues, and a few fundraisers this month. Last week, we helped HOSA out with Laverne High School. They collected about $1,400 on a pancake breakfast. So, you know, we were glad to help them out. And we will have our ham breakfast this Saturday. So that's why the sign was out a little early. Any questions?
And everybody can come eat breakfast and then go
Absolutely.
clean up Hurricane Creek with the cleanup day, so they can get
They
fed.
can work it off.
With you, work it off, and then
That's
get
right.
fed hot dogs with
Absolutely.
Katie. So it's a plan.
Absolutely.
Any questions? Thanks, Dana.
Thank you.
Okay. Codes.
Mayor, Alderman, for the month of February, the Codes Department issued 3 single-family dwelling permits, 2 commercial permits, 9 sign permits, 3 other permits, for a total number of 17 permits. For complaints, we had 1 tall grass permit, 8 junk car permits, 25 trash and yard permits, and 61 other complaints, not permits, I'm sorry. Revenues were impact fees. For road impact fees, we had $2,652. For park, $933. For police, $336. And total monthly revenues with impact fees is $8,669.30.
Any questions? Questions? Good job.
Okay. And one other comment, if anybody does need a permit to park on the street, they'll talk to the chief about that.
Good evening, Mayor Alderman. Numbers before you, starting to pick up. Things are getting busy in parks. We showed 4,000 visitors and veterans and 6,000 customers that were serviced through the Parks and Recreation and another 500 from the seniors. So those numbers will start to grow now that we get to the warmer weather and our things start going on in the park. We got the community cleanup. I'm going to let Katie speak to that when she gets up here. Our first tournament for the season's coming up March the 23rd through the 25th at Veterans Memorial Park. LBSA, our Baseball and Softball Association, will begin their season. Their 2012 season will start on Saturday, March the 31st at Veterans. The time is to be TBA. I'm expecting 11 or 12 because it's going to follow after the Easter egg hunt, which is my next event I'll speak to. Is also March the 31st at 10 a.m. We've moved it this year, and I want everyone to make a note. We've moved it to Veterans Park because of all the activities going on. It's so difficult for somebody who wanted to participate in the Easter egg hunt down here to have to fly across town to make opening day. So what we'll do this year is the Easter egg hunt at 10 o'clock, and then the opening ceremonies for baseball will follow after that. So it'll be a full morning at Veterans. Requests for vendor space for Old Timers Festival are coming in. It's great that we're getting interest, a lot of repeat vendors from last year, food and arts and crafts alike, so we're working on that. I've got hard copy available at the Parks Department, and I hope to get with IT and Kathy and get that up on the website so people can download the actual applications off the computer. I'd like to thank Alderman Broker and Evan and Joby Simmons if he's here. Before you this evening, we're going to talk about the Coke contract. There's a lot of hard work went into that, a lot of patience, some give and take. The city of Laverne's been without a Coke contract, or any contract for that matter, for 2 or 3 years now, and it's just, you know, it's a step, a positive step for us and for the city and a relationship with Coca-Cola. And lastly, sad to report that Aaron Simmons, our landscape and turf specialist, is leaving the department on March the 19th. Aaron's relocating to Virginia to pursue a career closer to his family and his wife's family in the Arlington area. Aaron gave 10 years of service to the city of Laverne, and while he may physically be leaving Laverne, the effort that he put forth in the 10 years with the trees and the flowers and all that stuff, we'll be able to cherish that for a long time after he's gone. To that, we're going to have a reception at Parks and Recreation on Thursday, March the 15th, from 11 a.m. to noon at the Parks and Rec. That's 294 Sand Hill Road, up next to the Convenience Center. And we'd appreciate anybody that wants to stop in and give their well wishes to Aaron and his family. Any questions of me?
What was the date on the Easter egg hunt?
March the 31st.
Any other questions? Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Finance?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Alderman. Tonight's report represents the first 7 months of this fiscal year, which is up through the end of January. For our general fund, the revenues have exceeded expenses by $914,000 and $914,958. Local sales tax, we've collected $2,023,731. That's approximately $40,000 better than budget and approximately $54,000 better than prior year. State Street Aid Fund, revenues have exceeded expenses by approximately $248,000. Stormwater Fund, revenues have exceeded expenses by approximately $203,000. And in our Water Sewer Fund, revenues have exceeded expenses by approximately $913,000. Second page represents our balances in our bank accounts. In the general fund, we have approximately $3.4 million. State Street Aid is $1.3 million. Senior Citizens Fund, we have approximately $63,000. In the Drug Fund, we have approximately $39,000. Library Fund, we have approximately $187,000. In our Grant Fund, we have approximately $66,000. Stormwater, we have approximately $2.1 million. Capital Project Fund, streets is approximately 3.7, with 3.2 of that being reserved for Walden Road. Capital Projects Parks and Rec, we have approximately $16,000. Police Impact Fund, we have approximately $90,000. In the Water Sewer Fund, we have approximately $7 million, with $2 million of that being reserved for Walden Road. And in our Employee Benefits Fund, we have approximately $115,000. The third page represents comparison to prior year. In the General Fund, revenues have exceeded expenses by approximately $1.9 million. In the Water Sewer Fund, revenues have exceeded expenses by approximately $1.8 million. Any questions?
And tax, Ms. Evie and Ms. Becky have done a wonderful
Yes,
job.
we are at 88.4% collection for the current year.
And she said that's the most she's ever had at this time. So they did a real good job there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Library?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Aldermen. For February 2012, we checked out 8,481 items. We had 7,788 patrons visit the library with an average per day of 371. We issued 41 new juvenile cards and 142 new adult cards last month. We ran 53 programs in February with a total attendance of 750, and 2,432 people came in to use our computers. I would like to point out that the numbers are slightly reduced from the previous year because we were closed that first week for painting. Our Storytime friends wanted me to thank Alderman Broker for coming out and spending a Wednesday afternoon with them. The kids all enjoyed the dinosaur books and roaring with Alderman Broker when he read Dinosaur versus the Library. And I'm glad to say that at the end of the book, not only does the library win, but everyone wins who comes to Storytime. So, the children's staff are busy with last-minute preparation for this Saturday's American Girl Tea Party. All the tickets have been given out. We have 2 sessions, one at 11 and one at 2, so we are anticipating a very good time this Saturday. And it's not too late to bring your entry for our steampunk contest in. Deadline for entry is March 31st, and the winners will be decided at the April Library Board meeting. We already have some very creative entries, but we would love to have some more. And I also want to remind everyone that National Library Week this year falls on April 8th through the 14th. And this year's theme is You Belong at Your Library. So we hope everyone takes that to heart and comes to see what we have to offer. Are there any questions for me?
Any questions? Thank you. Okay, water treatment?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman. What we have tonight is our January 2012 summary of the water treatment plant comparatively to 2011. Our treatment process, as you can see in 2012, the water production is down, hopefully, between the winter weather and all major leaks and smaller leaks being repaired. All of our testing results are well inside the perimeters that we're looking for. Chemical usage, everything's pretty much at the norm. We're trying to conserve wherever we can. It shows a little bit in the comparison for the months. Our rainfall for the month was 4.1 inches, 7 rain events during January. Cross-connection program's going real well. Still $1,200 collected for January, and we're up to about a total of 712 known devices in the city at this time. I guess our biggest part on here is our January maintenance was at $10,372, which ended our contract year of maintenance, which we ended up finishing up. The numbers are a little bit off there, but our actual number was we were under on maintenance by $22,375, which that rolls over into the base of the contract for next year, which will be credited that amount. So we'll have a little better contract year. Comparatively, I guess the plant is doing a lot better with that from our predictive and preventive maintenance. In 2008-9 year, we were over by about 18,500. The year after, we was over about 12,000, and last year was over about 18,000. So it's a good sign we're catching up with everything there. Should have one more page there. Yeah, this is kind of our year-end summary of what the calendar year went like. So we treated in the water delivered right about the same neighborhood, 1,150,000 gallons. All of our tubidities were well inside, so the clarity of the water. We actually increased the number of tests we're doing last year because we wanted to get a little more perfection out of it. And we just go down comparing our chemicals to the other years. It's kind of supply and demand. What the lake gives us, we have to treat for. So we try to do our best with that, but we've been able to really lower the cost on them. And we got a comparative of our maintenance for the last 2 years. And our quality calls about the water has been about the same from year to year. Very minimal. I don't know if we're just not getting the calls or if the water is getting that much better. But that's about our summary.
We like that, saving money.
Glad to do it.
That makes everybody smile. Any questions? Questions? Thanks, Thomas. Good job. Public Works.
Mayor and Alderman, good evening. In the sewer department, we saw 102 work orders. That's down 31 from last month. Big win in the month in sewer. We only spent 14 and a half hours on overtime. That's a reduction of 81 hours from last month. In the water department, we saw 124 work orders. That's down 23 to last month. 4 new meter sets versus 8 in last month. You see the gallons not sold. That's an add from last month. We're now counting for gallons as we see them in known leaks and hydrant flushing. So we're accounting for some volume of water loss there. Water department overtime was 157 hours or so. That's up about 120 from last month. Typically cold weather breaks water lines, particularly residential. So that's where we see increases like that generally. In the street department, we saw 7 hard calls from customers, chipper calls. It's down 5 from last month. We had 341 chipper pickups in our standard cycle. That's up about 200 from last month. We disposed of 19 or so tons of chipper waste versus just 12 last month. We used 272 workhouse program man hours. That's up 45 from last month. Down a little bit. We installed 1 more sign this month than we did last. We maintained about 30 more signs than we did last month. You know, poor wet weather, cars sliding off the road. We end up with a lot of sign maintenance this time of year. Asphalt installed 18 tons in the month. That's up a few tons from last month and a few tons more from the month before that, ending the year. Coal bag mix is down 19 bags to last month. We repaired many more street and traffic lights this month than we did last, just 2 last month, 15 in the previous, or in the current. We saw 129 work orders in streets. That's up 39 from last month. The street department experienced 55 total hours of overtime in the month, and that's down 15 from January. Fleet maintenance, vehicle repairs, 19 of them. That's up 6 from last month. And the detail there, tires, batteries, brakes, that kind of thing, are pretty flat month over month. Special projects there, we are readying with our mechanic mowers and tractors for the upcoming grass cutting season. We're also getting ready for MARTA. That generally fires up at about the early April time frame. The next slide here, you recall about 2 months ago or so we awarded the asphalt contract to Hoover here in Laverne. They've worked with Mr. Russell, street supervisor, to develop this honed set of priorities here. So Holland Ridge, Laverne Lane will be the first road that they repair, and you can see that cost at $10,581. The asphalt plants are firing up in a couple of weeks, and they think they'll be working by May 1 at the latest. And all of these repairs should be complete to the tune of about $210,000, which is safe and budgeted in State Street Aid Fund by about mid-June. So all of these jobs we're shooting to have done by the end of June for sure. Phyllis and I are working together to stick more money out of the State Street Aid Fund reserve into next year, so maybe we could do about twice as much work as this into 2012. We likely won't buy any more salt. We haven't used it to speak of, and we're through the lion's share of the winter. So the salt that we have on hand, we have covered and made safe, and it'll save into next year. We put out the street striping bid. You can't make roads without striping them, but we put out the street striping bid when we put it out the asphalt a couple of months ago, but we took on no bidders. So we've communicated this out, and Felicia's helping us get this to the paper in the next week or so, and we'll take on some bidders, hopefully locally, so that those guys will work alongside Hoover as we asphalt, we stripe, and there's one special request out there now. I forget the intersection, Mr. Russell, that's at Stones River and Murfreesboro Road. We've taken on bids. We're going to start that work next week to get that first intersection up to snuff as far as striping goes, okay? That's it as far as the visuals. You know I like to talk about wins. So in sewer, in the month of February, we hired a new operator, Mr. Philip Sanderson. He's a Laverne resident. He comes to us with a significant amount of auto mechanical background. You guys helped us secure a new service truck, and we fitted an existing service truck with a service bid. Makes it more capable in the field. We're cross-training sewer operators in water jobs now, just building bench strength and diversifying skill sets in the crews. We continued the construction on the pump repair center for the grinder pumps. We poured concrete using only our internal staff. Jerry Simlow actually swept the concrete and made it look nice. We located and fixed a hole in the sewer main located roughly near the box culvert. I'm tired of saying the box culvert, but it's such a problem out there on Waldron Road. A lot of tie-ins, a lot of issues out there. But we found a significant leak out there at about the tune of 1 million gallons a month infiltration. And we used all 3 of our crews out there on regular time and no overtime to repair that in-house. Normally we would have gone outside, spent as much as $10,000 over a couple of days repairing that. So we came together and kind of created a camaraderie type environment out of the 3 groups and knocked it out together. Again, a huge win there, so we only saw 14 and a half hours of overtime in sewer in the month, and that's down significantly over every month since I've been here. In water, we took on a new operator, Robert Sicandino. He's a recently separated Marine with water experience in his background. We also took on a new service truck, thanks to your approval, in water. Water went to the new staggered schedule as sewer did to mitigate overtime cost. They did that in February, so we now have an operator on Sunday to Thursday, an operator on Tuesday to Saturday, and we have a second shifter Monday to Friday. Again, the second shifters in water and sewer and eventually streets will work together to further drive overtime out of our standard mix. Again, you can't cross-train sewer and water without cross-training water in sewer, so we're doing that as well. In streets, if you've not been to the I-24 Waldron Road Exchange after dark and seen the lighting improvement, you should go give that a shot. It's a massive improvement. We still don't have the new poles, those 13 that were knocked down over the last several years. They're on back order. Apparently they're make to order. We're learning this as we go. We'd hoped to have that job done and complete in February, but it's looking more like late March or early April. But that job is still it's definitely ongoing, and Mr. Russell's monitoring that progress and reporting to me regularly. At New Paul Road, other side of the interstate, we dropped in 74 tons of asphalt out there since the new year. Major improvements out there. We purchased a 20-foot trailer to haul equipment such as mowers and bobcats, and hopefully the roller that you'll approve in a little while. And then, of course, Hoover hopes to start paving by April 15th, no later than May 1st. And again, they're 100% confident that all those jobs on that list to the tune of $210,000 will be done by the end of June, so that we can start with a fresh budget on July 1 as we want to naturally, and just keep them busy. So this is going to get us 9 or so jobs. We're looking at another 12 to 15, maybe even 20 into next year, major road repairs. That's my report.
That sounds great. Any questions? Questions? Thank you very much. Human Resources.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Alderman. Want to talk about a few things as it relates to our most valuable resources. We had about 7 postings in February and about 105 applications. We had 2 internal postings and 2 promotions, one in Parks and Recreation with David McGowan, and then also in our police department with now Sergeant David Durham. We had 2 resignations in February and 2 terminations. The terminations just performance or attendance, or actually one on attendance and lack of performance because they were not there. Another one was one that we didn't want to have, but certainly is because of someone that was new and had some medical issues and didn't have leave. So hopefully when all of that clears away, we may be able to re-employ that person. We closed one existing litigation case last month, and we had no new ones. We had 4 liability claims as far as property and casualty. We're trying to monitor that and make sure we do that. We had 2 workers' comp claims, one of them with the injury, but nothing major. Another one was minor, and we didn't even have to treat that. As far as employee and family wellness, we are continuing to push the Care Here Clinic. We're getting a lot of comments on that. You'll see the numbers fall in February and March because as we get out of the cold and flu season, there won't be as much of a need. But that clinic does a lot of other things as well, sports physical, do a lot of things that health risk assessments. We've had about 31 total of folks going in and checking on major issues such as weight management or diabetes or exercise, et cetera. The purpose of those assessments is to identify issues early and be able to reduce the overall health costs. So that's been really good. As far as claims, January, and it seems like most Januaries are not good. We're looking into high claims in January, but February rebounded pretty well with about 146,000, about half of what we had in January. As I've told the board before, myself and Bob Shoup and others are looking into all the details as it relates to health benefits and group benefits for us. A couple other things that are going on. Nothing major, but I just wanted to let Jeff Marler know that I've got several people, employees that are hopping to volunteer for the Easter Bunny. So I just wanted to let you know, 2 that sit to my left and right on tonight. So if you need them, just count on them. I don't know if you have a height requirement or a weight requirement, but we'll work with them to get them into the suits. There's a limit on the size of the suit. Okay, all right. I figured that. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Fred. Now we've got some presentations, and we're going to begin now with the Community Cleanup Day with Miss Katie Klein.
Board, Mayor, Alderman, I know you're aware, it's been mentioned several times about the community cleanup on Percy Priest Lake this weekend. I just wanted to mainly let everybody out there know, if they're not aware of what's going on and what we've been doing this week to lead up to it. It is at the Hurricane Creek Boat Ramp at 9 o'clock this Saturday. And it's not going that far. Percy Priest Lake is a very valuable resource for this community. In addition to the parks that we already have, it's a great source of recreation, and it's something that we need to take care of and keep clean so that we can keep using it as best we can. If you walk through some of the wooded areas along Hurricane Creek and Percy Priest Lake, these are some of the things that you'll find. I took these pictures in the past couple weeks. It's absolutely ridiculous how much trash is out there. Some of it's washing from neighborhoods, some of it's coming from downstream, some of it's coming from people throwing bags out of their cars. It's coming from everywhere. Some of it's coming from across at the marina. It's just, we need to try and do our best to, one, you can go ahead and look over. Don't litter. If you have a ditch in the back of your home or something like that, if a ball goes over the fence, go back there and get it, because it will wash somewhere. If you have trash or anything else that you throw out the window, it gets washed into those storm drains and actually gets washed into the streams. Everything drains somewhere, and right now in Laverne, everything drains to Percy Priest Lake, and that's pretty much where it ends up. These are some pictures from last year's event. We actually have a good bit of fun. It's a dirty job, but you're actually kind of surprised how much fun you can get out there in the woods, cleaning up, picking up. On a little bit of a note, the weather for Saturday is supposed to be gorgeous. I checked on the Weather Channel shortly before I came up here. The high is 64 degrees, and right now it's saying 0% chance of rain. So weather is no excuse to not come out. We also held a city employee cleanup this week that we had representatives from 7 departments. Kathy was out there. We had 4 people from the library. Jeff, actually the library I was impressed with. Second to the stormwater department, they brought the most people out of every other department in the city. We had people from the streets, codes, and engineering. I think I mentioned both. If I missed you, I'm sorry. We were able to fill up a whole dump truck load full of trash. That included 4 tires, a kiddie pool, a concrete pedestal from like a bird bath or something like that, and just all kinds of other garbage. Same kinds of things we're going to find out along Hurricane Creek and Percy Priest. These are just a couple of the pictures that I took on yesterday. I still think we had a pretty decent time. It was a great day to get out of the office and clean up some of the trash. And that's about how much we got out of there.
Wow.
So, in closing, just please come out Saturday. It's 9 o'clock. We'll clean up for a couple hours, and then we'll provide lunch for you. We've got hot dogs, chips, cookies, lots of drinks. Went to Sam's Club today and got everything, so we're ready for a big turnout, and I hope we get it. And I hope to see everybody out there on the board as well. I know a lot of you have been out there before in the past.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
You're
Katie.
welcome.
All right. Now comes to the fun part. As you all know, each month we go through this. We have started the Employee of the Month. I think it's something that the employees really do appreciate. We appreciate all of our employees, and the employees actually vote on who they want to be the Employee of the Month. And this week, we all had fun with this one because everybody wanted to nominate this one. It's budget time. Did I give the hint away? Phyllis, if you would like to come up, please. And they all fought to nominate her. The City of Laverne Certificate of Appreciation is hereby granted to Phyllis Rogers for your dedication and hard work for the City of Laverne. The city hereby recognizes you as the Employee of the Month for March 2012 and thanks you for the excellent work you do for the City of Laverne. Phyllis, we really do appreciate you. I think you've got a really hard job, and I know it's hard sometimes when you're having to say, no, we're not spending that money, but you do take care of us and the taxpayers, and we just want you to know how much we appreciate you doing that. Thank you. Next is a very special award. Where's Daryl? Mr. Daryl Lane, come up here, please. I just want Daryl to hold this. This is a lovely thing that we received last week from United Way. Daryl worked very, very hard. I know everyone in this room is very familiar with the United Way. Laverne has always participated in the United Way program every year. And this year, Daryl, being the new kid on the block, kind of got cornered in and taken on this project for our city. We went from $1,300 to almost $10,000 in giving to the United Way with just the city employees. And it was all due to his efforts and everything that he did for this city, getting the employees together and for the communities. And this lovely plaque says he won Best Public Service Campaign, City of Laverne for 2011. And the city did. And I know he is correct, but it was your efforts of getting out there and pushing and talking and really getting this together and encouraging the employees. And for that, we'd like to recognize you. City of Laverne Certificate of Appreciation is hereby granted to Daryl Lane for your dedication and hard work on the United Way campaign. The city hereby congratulates you on being honored by the United Way for having the best public service campaign and thanks you for the excellent work you do for the City of Laverne. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Are you going to be on? Okay, thank you. All right. Chief?
Can I say one thing about Daryl?
Yes.
He's a valley boy. He was raised about 25 miles south of me in the beautiful Sequatchie Valley. It's just that I'm 25 miles more beautiful than Marion County. I'm not doing an Employee of the Month, sworn and non-sworn, but I am doing a unit citation this month. And I had asked for a group of folks to be here, and I only see one of them actually in here right now. Those other two, Ty, would you tell them to come in? And is that the only?
I think they're hiding.
Is that all that's left out there? Former Sergeant David Durham. When I called him, I told him I needed all of his help here tonight. No, seriously, they have been out working all afternoon. We had a situation where we had 4 young people that were arrested this afternoon, and there were interviews going on, work being done there by the crime suppression unit and the patrol officers that were out. And then we also had an allegation of rape by a young lady that they were out investigating and been working on late this afternoon in the rain and doing searching and participating in the Crime Stoppers meeting that we hosted today and a lot of other things. But all the members of Criminal Investigations Division Investigation Section, please come on up here. Is that all that's here? The 2 old guys had to go home, didn't they? Presented to, well, they're still working. Presented to CID Investigation Section, Sergeant David Durham, Detective Bob Hayes, Detective Kevin Stalinsky, Detective John Eubank, and Detective Conrad Kahn. In the past 7 months, I've worked with and observed each of you as you diligently and professionally investigated several major crimes committed against citizens of our city. Your dedication and investigative prowess has led to an increase in solved and closed cases, but more importantly, you have brought many criminals to justice and removed them at least temporarily from our community. You are the Alpha Tango. And I appreciate each of you, and I'm going to ask you, David, to take it for Kevin and Bob both, and I'll be sure and see them later. But these folks, I don't think, are appreciated enough. Most of the time, detectives are considered folks that sit in an office and don't have a whole lot to do. And these folks are out day and night. They're out on weekends. They're called out. They work very hard, and they're there. And you wouldn't believe if I could get in and give you some details about some cases, you wouldn't believe some of the things they've done, but I can't give part of it away. But they've gone and they've dug and they've knocked on doors, they've watched videos, they've tracked, they've done all kinds of things. People from murder to aggravated robbery to attempted murder, rape, child sexual abuse. I can't tell you some of the things that they've been out there and been involved in. And it's awesome to know that we have that quality here in our community and in our agency, and I'm proud of all of you. Thank you very much. All of you. Copy for each other. Everyone behind on the wall.
Thank y'all very much. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, Chief. And JJ, he's my partner in crime. We like to arrest FEMA people, don't we? All right. Old business. Second reading, ordinance 2012-01, and ordinance to amend Title 13 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding property maintenance regulations.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, second. Now I'm opening up for discussion.
Mayor, my thoughts on this, certainly 100% behind what we're trying to do. The intent, I think, is where it needs to be. Speaking with Derek, and Evan, and Bruce, I think there's a couple things that, number one, I believe the city maybe needs to clean up verbiage so we're not back here in 2-3 months trying to correct it. Just tonight when you had citizens' comments, we had a situation come up where we weren't sure of, does a boat qualify, does this not qualify?
That's the second one.
This is
the property maintenance.
the yard. Okay, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm ahead of myself, I'm sorry.
But good points
Okay.
on the second
All
one.
right.
Okay. But no, this is the property maintenance.
Okay,
This is tall grass pools.
gotcha.
Y'all have any questions on the property maintenance? Any whatsoever? Okay, we will do a roll call. Vice Mayor?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
Aye.
Alderman Broker?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Second reading, ordinance 2012-02, and ordinance to amend Title 15, Chapter 6 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding parking. Now, this is that.
I'd like to make a motion to defer this for a month and get some clarification, because the boat parking, campers,
I like that.
I read that a little different.
And those were really good questions. And well, I need a second, then we'll discuss why.
Second.
I have a second. And the reason I like this, I think there's a lot of misinterpretation when people say, well, when I have parties, I park in the yard. We need to clarify that, because I'm under the impression it's not the ones that have the parties and you park in the yard for that day, or if you have to move your car to let your daughter out and you left it in the yard for that day. That's the way I'm understanding. It's the one, we have many neighborhoods, and I can take you to every single house that I have been called to, and I ran off the stack of emails over the years that I've been alderman, where people have 15, 20 cars in a yard. A lot of them don't have tags on them. A lot of them are broken down. And so I think we do need to make sure that we clarify, it's not you can't park in your yard to move a car. It's the ones that use their yards as a parking lot, period. So I like the idea that we defer this. Let's get our verbiage down. I was under the impression that the boats and the trailers were okay on the side, but there again, it's all in how I interpreted it. It's not, you did a great job, Derek. Yeah.
They're still okay.
Yeah, and you did wonderful, and you got it where we're wanting to go. But I think everybody be a little more comfortable just cleaning up just a little bit, making sure that we're letting the people know exactly what we're talking about. So I do have a motion to defer it and a second.
I have a couple things, and again, I'm sorry for getting ahead of myself, but I had it up on the screen. I think there's more to that. I think definitely the verbiage needs to be right. We always talk about having a clean contract or something that we're not going to come back on and have problems. But I do think there's something else that I think we need to look at, and just my 2 cents worth. We have many people, many families out in the Lake Forest area because whatever reason in the past we allowed homes to be put together or built 9 feet, 10 feet away from each other. I just have to say this, and if we're going to cite people for not being able to park in their yards or where they've been parking, but we're not going to allow them to park on the streets, we're basically setting them up for continual being in violation. I think we need to look at something that if we're going to say you are in violation, give them an alternative to not be in violation.
And I agree with that. However, I have many emails where these are single-family dwellings, and we have several out there that I've been called to.
Sure.
Where there's several families living in single-family dwellings, and you've got them all, they're parking on the sidewalks. You know, there's a lot of big issues, and it's not just this year. It's been going on for years and years.
There's no doubt in what you're saying, and I think what we're trying to do here is clean up the habitual offenders. But I think in doing so, we may be harming people that basically, whether it was their choice to move into those houses or not, bottom line is it was a decision made by a previous board here to allow homes like that. So I guess I'm trying to say, if we're going to put an ordinance out there, let's do it right, and let's look at that if there are alternatives that we can give them. Otherwise, I just think it's either going to be one of two things. You're going to have a ordinance that we're going to be citing hundreds of people, or we're going to have an ordinance that has no teeth because everyone's going to be in violation, and we know that 1 or 2 municipal officers cannot cite that many people. So, but what we're trying to do, and the intent is right on. I have to say, we went through one reading and didn't really. I thought, again, because of the intent and what we were trying to do, didn't have a problem with it. It wasn't until the last few days when I started fielding questions from residents that I just couldn't answer. What happens here? What do I do now? I've lived in this home, or I'm a renter. I can't force an owner to put another pad down, or in areas where they don't even have an area where they could build on and put whether it be gravel or so on. So again, I think all those things need to be looked at. I know it was kind of modeled after Smyrna, but at the same time, Laverne is unique, and unique because of some of our past decisions. So that's my 2 cents right there.
To clean it up, I know. But we do have, I don't think I've taken a vote. We have a motion to defer, and I have a second. Alderman Broker?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
Aye.
Vice Mayor? Aye. And I vote aye. All right, moving on to the consent agenda items. We did go over.
Number 6.
I did. I'm trying to get rid of it. I'm sorry, Jeff. Second reading, ordinance 2012-03, an ordinance to amend the 2011-2012 fiscal year general fund budget and capital plan for parks and recreation mowers. We did have a public hearing for this, and no one spoke for or against. Do I have a motion to approve or to deny?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we'll move on to the consent agenda items. We do have several things on here. We did discuss these in great detail. Do I have a motion to approve or to deny?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 You vote, Dennis? Roll call, Alderman Roper.
Aye.
Alderman Waldron.
No.
Alderman Vice Mayor.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Next, we have a beer, we're going to appoint the beer board member. We have one vacancy, and we do have one application. I hope I say this right. Adava Beach has applied for this position on the beer board. I hope everyone looked at her application. She does have a degree in criminal justice, and I think that she would be a really good fit for the beer board. And I would like to make the motion to put Miss Adava Beach on the beer board.
Second.
And I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 9, first reading, ordinance 2012-04, an ordinance to amend the 2011-2012 fiscal year general fund budget. Again, this is where we're doing some cleanup. There's no extra money being spent. This is money that was in the budget. We're having to move it to the debt service for our radios.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 10, Resolution 2012-03, a resolution to accept Center Point Distribution Park, Section 1, lots 11, 12, and 13, re-subdivision of Lot 11, received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on February 28, 2012.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry?
We added a motion on that. You wanted to accept it to allow them to have 15 days to have the form of irrevocable dedication recorded, and also 15 days to have the revised letter of credit submitted to staff.
Can I just make another motion?
Motion to reconsider by the board.
Okay.
Yeah, I would move to amend the previous.
Okay. I'll make a motion to rescind. To rescind the previous motion.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's start over. I need a motion to accept Center Point Distribution Park.
Applying to staff within 15 days a recorded copy of the irrevocable dedication form and also a revised letter of credit.
Did you get that, Bruce? Yes. Okay, do y'all understand that? Okay. All right. I had a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, Kyle. I'm sorry. I forgot about that. My fault. Number 11, motion to approve an application for the certificate of compliance for an off-premises consumption retail liquor store for the Laverne Beverage Depot located at 5033B Murfreesboro Road. We did have a public hearing. No one spoke for or against. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next item, motion to approve Amendment 1 to the agreement with Laverne Rescue Unit, Inc. regarding the use of the police department boat. If you don't mind, I would like to defer this item to allow the police chief and the director of the rescue unit to work with Evan on this matter. So do I have a... Okay,
Second that.
and I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 13, motion to approve a master sales sponsorship agreement with CCBCC Operations LLC and the City of Laverne for the Parks and Recreation Department. And I believe we have a go on this after long hours of working on this. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, next. Number 14, motion to consider a settlement offer for the stormwater maintenance bond for the Water Edge subdivision, Section 9. Evan, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to let you kind of explain what
Sure.
you think we need to do on this.
Be glad to, Mayor. Thank you. As the board knows from the workshop, the city engineer and I have been working on settling this issue with the bonding company that has the bonds on this particular subdivision phase. We have received a settlement offer on this particular bond for $25,000. That settlement offer has been presented to this board. After some discussion, this board has a couple of options. You can vote to accept that settlement offer in the amount of $25,000, which would end the negotiation process on this, and it would be a final acceptance for the work on that subdivision phase, or you could vote to authorize the mayor to negotiate further on this and then report back to this board next month to see if there's been any movement up from that $25,000. I don't get the impression from speaking with the attorney for the surety company that this offer is going to go away. So the decision is yours to make.
And it's up to this board. Whatever y'all want to do, if you want to take the $25,000, that this is the same area that cheated us out of the bond for the roads. So it's totally the board's decision.
I'd like to make a motion to give the mayor her designee to go back into further negotiations.
Second.
Okay. And I'll just let us know. Okay, let's take a vote. Alderman Broker?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron? Aye. Vice Mayor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. All right. Number 15, motion to approve change order 2 for the water treatment plant sludge lagoon cleaning project.
I'll make a motion to deny it.
I'll second.
I have a motion to deny the change order. I have a second. We'll do a roll call. Vice Mayor?
Aye.
Alderman Broker?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries to deny change order 2. Number 16, motion to approve a proposal from Emergency Communications Network, Inc. for the Code Red notification system using the GSA pricing.
I'm going to make a motion to accept just through the end of the fiscal year.
And that is, how quickly can they get that in, Tom? Did they say?
Said within, was a week to 10 days, basically.
Okay. A week to 10 days. Now, okay, my next question,
get a-
and I've had a lot of people ask me, when they do this, do they take the information from, or do the people have to sign up for this?
It's an opt-in service.
Okay,
It is that. We'll also be submitting data from them from GIS services and 911 as well.
okay,
So they already have a base built for this area,
okay,
but we'll be giving them other data as well to put in. But it is an opt-in service. We'll have to put something up on Channel 3. We'll get stuff out on Facebook, Twitter, and everything else for people to be able to go on and sign up to get this service to their phones and to their homes.
okay. And that was another question. Can they have it to their home and their cell phone?
Yes.
Many as they want.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm just asking the
Yes, ma'am.
questions that was asked of me.
We need to get a second first, don't we?
Oh, I thought we had, no, he made a motion. Didn't you make a
I
motion?
made the motion.
I'll second it,
Mayor,
so we can
also
talk about it.
Okay.
As Kurt spoke on this, they also have an app that's available now too. So not only for the people and residents of Laverne, but if you work in the city limits as well,
Okay.
you'll be able to get that app and get that same service. So
Okay.
the people that work here every day, because we have a large influx of workers that don't necessarily live here, but they'll have those same warnings when they're in this area.
All right.
Mayor,
I had a
okay.
motion by Alderman Broker and a second by Vice Mayor. Just making sure I have my.
So I have a couple things. You had asked me to follow up on a potential problem that they had with Branson, Missouri. Spoke to Kurt tonight. Basically what it is, Branson, Missouri had not paid for a while. So it wasn't the system was down. It was basically they didn't pay and then came back afterwards or within a couple of days of that storm. So it was not back up at that point in time.
But we just wanted to make sure because we had heard that and that was, and two, I think this is a good, it's a good time to give this a trial base. It's through the storm season and, you know, that'll give us the months during the storm to see if we're going to like it and see if it's going to work and fit our needs at this moment.
And also the question was information, they get information 4 different ways. I want to say one is just white pages, another one is Experian credit, opt-in, and then also I believe emergency, local emergency services.
Our 911 services as well.
And again, I agree with you there. I mean, you're talking $6,600 versus the $600,000. At least we have a system in place. If June comes and we don't like it, obviously we're not stuck. But it's a good way to try it out. And just my thoughts on it.
I like it. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Let's do a roll call. Alderman Broker.
Aye.
Alderman Waldron. Aye. Vice Mayor.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So the motion is approved. All right. Number 17, motion to approve an engineering design proposal for replacement of the Johnny Glenn and James Sewer pump stations. Okay, we did a great deal of discussion on that. And that is $6,800 for the design of these pump stations. Do I have a motion to approve or to deny?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 18, motion to approve bid for the Fergus Road Sidewalk Project. We do have a recommendation from the Weiser and Company. And that recommendation is withdrawal of the award and give the bidding to Civil Constructions Incorporated. Am I correct in my saying that? That's the second, that was the bid next, which is Civil Constructors Incorporated.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, just make sure I didn't miss anything, okay? I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I have a second. We will do a roll call.
Just a question first.
I guess.
Were they, what were they not successful? I think they had said that they were going to go back and try to get the name. Do we know anything?
I'll let Evan tell a little bit more on the legal, but basically. Yes, the technicality that we had discussed at the workshop, TDOT never did get that really worked out. I don't really think there is a way to work that out after the fact, so I'll let Evan basically explain a little bit more legal-wise.
This has been a hot topic all week. As the mayor can know, it's been about 1,000 emails between all of us in terms of trying to work through this with TDOT. But the issue, the bottom line of the whole thing is TDOT has told me, so it's told the city, that if you were to go with a low bidder in this case, because of the technical glitch, that was the problem with their bid, then the city would bear the risk of potentially losing this grant either before the grant is awarded or, what would be even worse, after we completed the project, the federal government could come in and then make us pay the grant back based on this bid technicality. Now, I don't know what the odds are of that happening, but I'm not willing to gamble with that kind of money in terms of doing that. So that's kind of where we are.
And we do have complete file folders, and I'll be happy to make each of you a copy of this, all the correspondence. And this is from Brian Carroll of the Tennessee Department of Transportation.
He's the Assistant General Counsel.
So, I mean, we're, in that letter, exactly what he said. You do it, and hey.
The risk is ours.
Yes.
Okay.
So there again, do we want to take a chance with TDOT doing something or not? That's a lot of money to gamble with.
Time frame is still going to be the same, though, pretty much? We're going to still start?
Well, we've been delayed about a month and a half, so far, but that's going to be the difference in the time frame, about a month and a half.
Okay.
So I had a motion and a second. Okay. We'll do a roll call. Alderman Broker.
Aye.
Alderman Waldron.
Aye.
Vice Mayor.
Aye.
And I vote aye. All right. We're down to mayor and alderman comments. Vice Mayor, we'll start with you.
Congratulations to Bruce for the new addition to his family. And don't forget the rescue squad's breakfast Saturday.
Sounds good. Alderman Waldron.
Everybody, don't forget about the 6 o'clock's up this Saturday, daylight saving. We get one more hour Sunday. And again, on the have breakfast, I'll see y'all over Saturday. And just good to be back. Good to be back. I'm not 100%, but it's good to be back. Appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Alderman Broker.
Just want to remind everyone again about the cleanup Saturday, 9 o'clock, Hurricane Creek. Also want to bring up Rich Long. I think the chief talked about him a little bit, but listening to him on the radio and in the job he did during the storm, I just wanted to bring in and just tell him thank you. He also, the post office was listening to him and trying to gear their routes around what he was saying when the storm was coming and all. So just wanted to acknowledge him and say thank you.
Again, I want to reiterate the fact of what a wonderful job all the emergency entities did on Friday, the volunteer groups. Box had, I think it was, ended up being like 141 people down at the multipurpose. We had the EOC up and running, and there was people from all entities staged in there, from volunteers to the police and fire. It went off like a hit. We were all standing there when we watched the funnel cloud form, and Laura Davidson, I can run faster than her. So we were all racing for the door. But a job well done. Again, thank you, all of you employees. Y'all are doing a wonderful job. You're staying on task. You're making this city a great place to live and to work. And I just want to thank all of you for all your hard work each and every day. Keep up the good work. Just want you to know how much we appreciate you. Again, come go eat breakfast at the rescue squad and be ready to work. 9 o'clock, and you're going to get fed. You're going to get to eat all day and work and play. So please come out, have a good time, and we'll clean up Laverne. And I'm going to call this meeting adjourned.